there's a couple more here, requests for federal. One has to do with economics. To promote federal economic stimulus work programs that would hire workers to dig trenches and hang cable for a national wired fiber optic broadband infrastructure, not a wireless phone. A wired network would provide more reliable and higher quality service, offer greater return on investment, and does not raise the objections based on health, privacy, or property values as cited above. In terms of California, we urge that they repeal a law they passed in 2006. I was in Sacramento testifying against it when Senator Joanne Kehoe from Santa Barbara was up there, San Diego, was up there. She authored the bill. This bill, which is S-1627, allows the telecom industry to have complete flexibility once a co-location antenna is installed. Once the antenna is permitted locally, the control over it from then on reverts to the state. And citizens at the local level review their right of notification and review of this co-location antenna. Now we know these co-location antennas are being used for the new WiMAX signals. And many of these antennas transmit 30 miles. So if they're outside of any local political jurisdiction, it's just easier to do it that way, to have the state regulate this and not deal with all the local governments that may be affected. So we think that law needs to be repealed, just like the Federal Telecom Act. Number two, to enact public right-to-know legislation that will inform and can protect consumers from potentially harmful pulsed radio frequency radiation emission levels from cell phones by requiring retailers in the state to post the radiation emission levels for each cell phone it offers for sale, according to manufacturer and model number, and also by placing a warning label on cell phones. This was attempted in a bill that Mark Leno brought before the state legislature, which failed because of industry influence. And the state of Maine also had a bill on this that failed because of industry influence. 10 years ago, I was working with former Senator Tom Hayden. He introduced a bill to do this and also to set up a research program in Sacramento. The bill passed, but then it died in the Rules Committee. Why? Just recently, Tom Hayden said it was because of industry influence. We've got to overcome that. To offer disability benefits and other accommodations and services to people who are functionally impaired due to pulsed radio frequency radiation exposure, and to encourage the creation of EMF-free areas where people can live and work according to local zoning laws. To offer people the right to opt out of state or utility mandated smart meter programs where smart meters are being installed on private single homes or multifamily buildings and commercial buildings where people live and work, to monitor energy and water use by transmitting pulsed radio frequency radiation signals between the meters and the utility and through the buildings, violating people's right to quiet enjoyment of their homes and creating unavoidable exposure conditions that can be life-threatening, and raising serious concerns about cybersecurity due to illegal hacking activities that many people are concerned might occur. It's a vulnerability. Number 6, to allow people the opportunity to continue to have wired services that enable them to access television, telephone, and the internet, or to have those services restored at no difference in the cost between wired or wireless services. And finally, we urge school districts to study carefully the scientific evidence on pulsed radio frequency radiation, particularly regarding potential health risks for children related to chronic exposure to pulsed radio frequency radiation before introducing more wireless-enabled educational technology into the classroom. We also urge schools to prohibit use of Wi-Fi, cell phones, and smart boards in classrooms, and to prohibit cell antenna installations on or near school property, preferably not permitting them within 1,500 feet of school property. The BRAG program that Magda Havas outlined is a wonderful vehicle that a school could take on as a project, school-based project, to educate the students about this issue and also to explain what they're being exposed to. They could understand the science, the physics, and they could get involved in advocacy. It's a great out-of-the-classroom learning experience And I'm really delighted that you got to hear about her program tonight. And there's much more that could be said, but I think it's about your time, and you've listened very politely. And so I'm going to go back to the table and get the cards from Rena, and then we'll start our question and answer period. Thank you. Question to Magda is, are cordless phones as dangerous as cell phones? And the second part of that question is, what are the chances of a revised FCC Telecommunications Act that allows health risks to be directly challenged in locating cell towers? Magda?
The first question was, are cell phones and cordless phones, are cordless phones as dangerous as cell phones? Basically, cordless phones and cell phones are quite similar. They're both using microwave technology, slightly different frequency. However, and when it comes to brain tumors, the studies are lumping them together. They're not separating them out, and they're basically showing the same things. However, a lot of cordless phones have a base station in your home, and some of them radiate 24/7. Most of the newer ones do that. Some of the older ones were a lot cleaner, which means that your exposure is much higher in the home environment if you have one of these base stations, especially if you have one in your bedroom. You're being irradiated all night. They're actually more dangerous than the cell phone. So one of the things that if you got rid of in your home, just get rid of the cordless phone, and you would probably improve the quality of your electromagnetic environment enormously.
The second question is, and it's a three-part question, what about wireless baby monitors? Go ahead.
Okay, there's a type of baby monitor that's come out. It's called a DECT monitor. DECT stands for a Digital European Cordless Telephony. It came from Germany. The DECT monitor radiates 24/7 as well. So you have one part of the monitor near a crib. You have the other part of the monitor usually on your belt if you're a mother. So you're irradiating your child and you're radiating your ovaries. It's probably the worst technology ever, and I would really strongly recommend anyone who has one to stop using it. One of the ways you can tell if you have one of these monitors is you can take a portable radio, turn it to an AM station at the very low end of the dial, and just turn it slightly off station. As you take this portable radio and hold it close to the base of the monitor, if it's radiating, it will give you static, and you'll pick it up on your portable radio becomes a meter, basically. If you bring it very close and there's no static, it's unlikely to be radiating. So that's one of the ways you can determine if you have one of these, if you don't have the appropriate equipment.
There's a
comment there, sorry.
Yes, may I please share with you the cell phone, since that was the question. I asked my friend to join us tonight, and she's involved with this chip that alleviates the radiation from the cell phone. If you are interested, perhaps she can tell you more about this chip.
Okay.
I know I use it, I don't know the technology.
Thank you. There are a number of chips that you can get to put on your phone. I don't think they all work. As a matter of fact, I think you have to be very careful with the technology that you buy. We've done a little bit of testing with them, and all I'm going to say is just warning you that you have to be very careful what you end up buying to protect yourself.
Does using a wired headset on a cordless phone diminish or arrest the danger?
If you use a headset, there are several types of headsets you can use. One is a wired headset that it takes a metal wire all the way to your ear. They irradiate your entire body. That wire acts like an antenna, so it's not reducing your exposure. You can get a headset that has a hollow tube at the end. The gentleman in the far corner there mentioned that's much better because the hollow tube is just that, a hollow tube, and it's just the sound that's going there. So it's like holding your cell phone away from your body, which is just one of the better ways of using it. And then you can get a Bluetooth headset that is wireless as well, communicating with your phone. Initially, we thought that was a better solution because it didn't have to be as powerful. One of the things we found is that they're constantly communicating with each other, like where are you, where are you, where are you? And so your exposure is actually much worse with a Bluetooth headset. There's a comment at the back, yes?
I wanted to back up on your cordless phones. A few years ago, I was reading an article on the cordless phones, the 2.4 gigahertz versus the 900 megahertz. I got rid of the 2.4, went with the 900 megahertz. It works just as good, and I was told that really minimizes your exposure. And I don't hear anybody talking about that, but is that true?
That's true. As a matter of fact, it's hard to get a 900 megahertz phone. That's the problem. I also have one at home that's 900 megahertz.
I got it at Fry's. I think
Yeah.
they sell one brand of 900 megahertz, so I was curious.
Thank you for that. Yes.
Could I ask people to not speak from the floor, because we have 3x5 cards, and if there's, Rita, would you see if anybody wants one, because some people may have come in late and if they have a question, they could write it down or a comment. We'll be sure to get through these if we can, but we'd like to move forward with the questions that were submitted. What about speakerphones built into cars? Are they okay?
I've never measured them, so I honestly don't know. I do know that you have to be very careful in a car when you use your cell phone, and that's because you're surrounded by metal. And whenever you're in a metallic area where you have metal around you, microwaves bounce off metal. They're radiated from metal. So if you're in a train, a plane, you know, those of you who travel, you know, as soon as the plane lands, everyone whips out their cell phone. On my last flight, I had a little meter with me, and I was turning it on. It was going crazy as soon as they did that, and I was hoping people would ask what that was, so I could educate them that no one cared. So if you're in a metal container like a car, you're going to be exposed even more. Your cell phone has to work harder. But I've not measured them, and they vary from manufacturer to manufacturer. So it's certainly better than holding it to your head, but I don't know how good it is.
At my house, we have hardwired, but at my new school, we are required to have wireless laptops for all 4 years during school. How will this affect me over time? This is from a high school student.
The truth is we don't know how it's going to affect you over time because the studies haven't been done. So basically, kids in schools are now guinea pigs. We're going to study them, you know, as they get sick. We'll document what happens, how quickly, and that's how we'll end up knowing. My recommendation would be to ask your parents to write to the school board, to the superintendents, to the principals, and ask that you be allowed to use wired technology, and that would at least minimize your exposure, although you'd be in a room where you're still being exposed, but it wouldn't be as high as if you have it wired.